for the people of our town, and almost collided with a hot air balloon which was coming in for reasons nobody could figure out. I guess just because I needed it for the story. They might remember bits and pieces of it, but the saga of Lake Wobegon was a piece of archaeology, and I doubted I would be remembered for it. I believed that I would probably more likely be remembered for short poems, which are easy to remember. A liberal lady of D.C. By day was tasteful and PC, and then after 10 she went out with men who were vulgar, rednecks, and greasy. When it comes to the masculine species, she said, believe me, I'm easy. But liberal guys tend to theologize, and I am not St. Clair of Assisi. It's possible, you see, in writing a limerick to create something which is perfect. This is not possible in prose fiction. It's absolutely not possible in improvised storytelling on the radio. Everything you do is very clumsy and hit and miss. But you can write a perfect limerick on the name Syracuse. There was an old singer of Syracuse who was startled to hear his old dear accuse him of rushing and slurring and thereby obscuring the words that the writers of a lyric use. It's perfect. And nobody else will ever write a better limerick on the word Syracuse. I've written it. It's done. You see, and it's the only one that exists. I could quote others, but I mean, there it is. It's a monumental piece of work. What good does it accomplish? I don't know. I don't know. There was a young couple named Kelly who were found lying belly to belly because in their haste they used library paste instead of petroleum jelly. Thing that a person would be remembered for by 10 and 12-year-old boys, which is where immortality is. What you write that some boy is going to look up in a school library years from now and admire. I used to do avant-garde dance with a blowtorch, blue paint, and no pants, which some people guessed was genius, and the rest left quickly when given the chance. That was a sobering thought, you know. I was lying in a hospital and thinking that having been an English major, having written really stunning term papers on the Miller's Tale, Canterbury Tales, having explicated the Transcendentalists, having gotten an A on a paper on Emily Dickinson, that this would be your future after you die. That was a sobering thought. I thought about this sonnet that I had written. I have an obligation to write sonnets because I am an English major and I am able to do it. An electrical engineer would have to work awfully hard to do this, and I don't think he would be happy with the results, and nobody would pay him any money for it. I lie down at night with this cold, dumb dread of death's dark estate, and that is why I don't mind you kicking me in bed. Not at all. I'd rather be kicked than die. It must be so boring to lie down dead after the long, gloopy memorial goodbye and contemplate what you wish you'd said for your last words. No, I prefer to lie spooned with you until I'm 90 or 95, still crazy about you, and say goodnight one night and dream I am saved by grace, and then dive swan-like into a spacious tunnel of celestial light. Out with the old and in with the shining new. Hello, Jesus, goodbye. Oh, my darling, my marvelous you. The beauty of writing sonnets is it's a classic form, and so one simply needs to make one's imagination live within 14 lines of iambic pentameter with a certain rhyme scheme. This is a challenge worthy of an English major. We don't write for self-expression. We start out doing that, and then we discover that we are no more interesting than most other people. So we have to find another strategy. And the strategy is to take the ordinary events of our lives and put them into a classic form, which I did for my wife after we had splurged on a very high hotel room in Manhattan years and years ago. Up in the sky, the lovers lay in bed, naked, face to face and hip to thigh, her leg between his arm beneath her head, their hands roaming freely up in the sky. In the dark, Manhattan lay at their feet, a blanket of glittering stars thrown down. Beyond her bare shoulder, 59th Street, and from her lovely ankle, the buses headed uptown. They came to the city for romance, as people do, and with each other they scaled the heights, and now united they lie at rest, these two, the bed gently rocking in the sea of lights. Where will they go? What happens next, I do not know. I am that man waiting at the bus stop far below. Shift in identity in the last line is something I tossed in for English majors. Purely for effect. I love, absolutely love sonnets, to take ordinary things and put them into a form that Shakespeare would recognize. To me, is a worthy way to spend an afternoon. You made crusty bread rolls filled with chunks of brie and minced garlic drizzled with olive oil, and baked them until the brie was bubbly, and we ate them lovingly, our legs coiled together under the table, and salmon with dill, and lemon and whole wheat couscous, baked with garlic and fresh ginger, and a hill of green beans and carrots, roasted with honey and tofu. It was beautiful, the candles, the linen, the silver, the sun shining down on our street. Me with my hand on your leg, you, my lover, in your jeans and green t-shirt and beautiful bare feet. How simple life is. We buy a fish, we are fed, we sit close to each other, we talk, and then we go to bed. You too, huh? So that's what I decided, lying in the hospital. That's what I would be known for. I got out of the hospital, they let me out on Wednesday, late afternoon, and they'd given me a prescription for an anti-seizure medication, and I started taking it, and I felt a terrible vacancy. I have never had that feeling before, not even back in my drinking days. It was fearful. I had to write a show, and I worked hard working on it. I wanted to write a story of Ulysses, the Odyssey, and so I tried to do that. And I had to go do a show on Saturday, and I had this terrible, terrible feeling I have never, ever had doing a radio show before. This feeling of indifference. And my cousin, the doctor, said it was that medication. That was a side effect, is a kind of passivity. I stood up there on a stage on Fitzgerald Theater in front of 1,400 people and with, I don't know, a few million people listening. And I felt an utter indifference, which terrified me. You just can't do a show feeling that way. It was horrible. I did a sort of story, like Wobegon. I had been writing my memoir early in the week, and I sort of snatched some parts of it, and I invented a story about my grandfather seeing signs of the rapture. He had seen 3 words from a chapter in the prophet Hosea on 3 successive billboards on Highway 7, 7 being the number of perfection in Scripture, and the words were, "Lo, he cometh," and so he thought the rapture was about to occur, and he went over to my Uncle Earl's house, and Earl had gotten out his and he was very excited, and he didn't see Grandpa coming in through the door, and because Grandpa disapproved of television because they showed movies, and movies meant Hollywood, and that meant drinking and adultery, and so